Hello and welcome back to another MIPS workshop. Thank you all for attending. I'm excited to get into today's conversation. We have the Gnosis team with us today, which I'm very excited about. They are going to be teaching us about the best practices for running an archive node in the Gnosis chain. And so we have Ricky here, who's going to do an introduction and let us know a bit about himself.
So, hi guys. So yeah, as Abel has already said, basically I'm involved with DevOps at Gnosis. We try to do our best to keep Gnosis blockchain services running and helping out other teams to achieve their goals with project around the Gnosis chain. Yep.
Wonderful. Great. Well, let's get into today's conversation. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen so folks can see the presentation that we have. Just bear with me one moment. Okay. Okay. Can we get a thumbs up if we can see my screen? Great. Awesome. Cool. Well, not sure if Giacomo's still here, but if not, then Ricky, if you could take us into the presentation, that would be fantastic.
So yes, sure. So running Gnosis chain node. So as you all know, guys, Ethereum is now merged. This does mean that basically the Beacon chain now does do the staking on top of the execution layer. This is something that hasn't happened yet on the Gnosis chain, because as you know, it's a little bit different from Ethereum. We run on a different algorithm called Aura, and we need to take all the proper consideration, and we are doing all the proper tests with shadow forks, etc., in order to do the merge properly, and we hope to achieve this as soon as possible, because the merge is a really important event for any blockchain, really, because a lot of advantage. So scaling and also is much better for the environment. So the sooner the blockchain will get there, the better it is. So yeah, we can continue with the next slide. Yep. Okay, how to run an archive node on Gnosis. So since we are still pre-merge, we will focus on the execution layer. So in this case, with Nethermind, you know, there are different kind of clients that you could use in order to run the execution layer on a blockchain. And we will focus today on Nethermind. We have prepared for you a database snapshot that is hosted. And yeah, basically, since we needed to provide this database in a secure way, we have hosted it behind a CDN. So in this way, you both us and you will basically be able to to get that snapshot possibly quickly and also in a way that is secure. And also we needed to create a downloader app due to some limitation of the CDN that will not allow to download a DB that is more than 30 gigabyte, but currently our database is around 2 terabyte. So given this baseline, we basically needed to find a solution that was user-friendly for you, and it was also, let's say, cost-effective and secure for us. So let's start with the requirements of your machine. So you could run a Nethermind in any OS. We possibly will focus with Ubuntu because it's the OS that is mostly used for running a node. Then CPU 2 cores, RAM 8 gig. Disk it should be higher than this, so in order to be able to get the database and running properly. So we usually have a disk of around at least 3 terabyte, and that is sorry, let me yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's continue with the other slide, please. Please, Abel, if you want to add anything, feel free to chime in the discussion. Okay.
Nothing.
Great. So yeah, I cannot see now the screen. I've lost it. Okay. Okay. So. I don't know why sometimes I see the slide and other times it disappear. Maybe there is some issue.
I think you need to click watch stream.
Yeah. I'm in the watch stream, but sometimes I lose the screen. It becomes all black. So I don't know. Now it's I can see it. So yeah, perfect. So now I cannot see it again. Yeah, there is some issue with the slide, guys, with the stream.
I can send you a copy of the presentation.
Let me open in full screen. Maybe it's my browser. Okay, now I should be able to see it. Okay, so in order to prepare for the merge, because yes, we are not yet there, but if we are prepared is better. Basically, what are the client provider doing? They are embedding all the specification for the chain, so the Genesis file inside and changing things inside the actual client. So for instance, there are two events that should happen in order for the merge to succeed. First is the Bellatrix event, and is what basically Ethereum has done on the 6th of September, and then the terminal total difficulty will be picked up. That is basically the point in time where the consensus layer is gonna start to lead the charge, basically. So it's gonna start to send in information to the to talk with the execution layer, and basically is gonna pass the execution layer, is gonna pass the ball to the consensus layer, and we will start to talk about staking and not anymore about mining, basically. So can you use CL client? I will try also to answer to some question. Meanwhile, can we use any CL client, or is Lighthouse the only? So we are testing several ones. We are testing Lighthouse, Prism. We are testing Lodestar and Teku. I would suggest to go with any of these four, with the one that you prefer. So yeah, but I personally like the couple Nethermind Lighthouse. So, but it's just a personal taste. When merge, I cannot give a date because we do not yet know it, and I'm not the person that is gonna decide when it's gonna happen. You should know that we are working relentlessly in order to achieve this goal. So yeah, hopefully not months. So yeah. Okay, so let's see. Make sure you're running version of the execution layer client that support the merge. Yeah, so you have to update your execution layer. So for instance, I think we Nethermind are at 1.14.2, and this is the latest one. So be sure that the execution layer is up to date. Then make sure that the execution layer client is fully synced. This is really, really important because otherwise, when you kick off the consensus layer and is gonna start to talk with the execution layer, basically the consensus layer should have already a good overview of what is happening in the blockchain. So the execution layer must be synced, and this is really important. You cannot start them in tandem without the execution layer being already synced. So that's not a requirement for Ethereum, right?
Video.
What do you mean?
E niente, quindi per adesso la situazione è questa.
Sorry, I think
altre cose, non so. No,
I think one mic it's on. Okay, perfect. So let's continue. Okay, so as soon as the execution layer is synced, what you have to do? You have to, so basically, in order to allow the execution layer and the consensus layer to talk in a secure way, there is a mechanism. Basically, they do use a JSON web token. This JSON web token can be generated by you, and we could share. I mean, it's one sec. I think there is a push to talk for Giacomo. I will tell him just a second.
Ok.
Okay, sorry guys. So let's continue. I was saying that in order for the consensus layer and the execution layer to talk, there should be a security mechanism that will allow them to talk in a secure way. Sorry for the repetition. In this case, the client have chosen to use a JSON web token. This could be generated by you in different way. There is no proper way. We do use OpenSSL, for instance, to generate it on the fly. And one important thing is that one execution layer should be paired with just one consensus layer. So this is really important. No multiple consensus layer to one execution layer or vice versa. It's a one-to-one relationship between them. So other than this, another API has been built by the execution layer clients that is called the Engine API, and basically this is actually the way in which the consensus layer will communicate with the execution layer. So having the engine port opened and the JSON web token set up for both the nodes is gonna allow them to talk. And in the consensus layer argument or environment variable, you will specify to which execution layer should communicate your consensus layer node, basically. So, and is basically the only different setup that you will have post merge. So JSON Web Token plus opening this engine port on the execution layer, plus pointing and use the same JSON Web Token on the consensus layer. That's it. So get prepared for the merge. Okay, so yeah, we can go to the next slide. Thank you.
Next slide is Q&A, I believe.
Okay, perfect. So
all right, let's get into questions. I see that people have already been asking questions on the way, which is great.
yeah.
I'm just going to unmute Giacomo, see if he's able to also hop into the conversation. Yeah, Ricky and Giacomo, feel free to answer any questions, and everyone else, feel free to ask away.
Sure.
All right, I see a question from Chris in the chat.
Okay, is there any reason why I can use a standard HTTP client curl to download the archive snapshot? So yes, there is a reason. So as I was saying, basically for security reason, since it's a big file, and we could get flooded of requests, or we could be attacked, because Gnosis is I mean, sometimes hacker do take us as a target, so we needed to secure it in a proper way. So the file has been put behind a CDN, and unfortunately CDN have got a limitation. In this case, CloudFront does not allow you to download file cached that are bigger than 30 gig. So in order to achieve a full download, we needed to provide, I mean, it's possible also to do with curl, and but you would have need to, it wouldn't be user friendly. So we provided a download manager. So this download manager does chunk the file in multiple pieces, and then after you have downloaded it, it merges them together. So it was just to facilitate you guys to download it. The only thing, since it was done quite quickly in a few days, we didn't have much time for testing it, but it's a work in progress. It's a public repo, so for any issue, please raise an issue, and we will take care of it as soon as possible. Exactly. So we can do a stream download and extraction with 2 weeks. Exactly. Yeah, there should be a little. You are absolutely right. There should be a little bit more of space in your disk. Yeah. But what about effects? Or, I mean, we really had user to user. You are right, guys. We will gather all this feedback and provide a better solution that is, I mean, that is good for you, for the community. So yeah, we are learning by doing at the moment. So yeah. Edited a form from phase 0. These are girly Ethereum address of your indexer. I will leave, if possible, all the graph related question directly to Abel. If you, Abel, can chime in for those that would interest you, please.
Sure, I'll have a look.
Yeah. So actually you can start from a specific part. I'm answering to Chris.het. If you add dash p and let's say you want to start from part 30, you can restart from there. I know, I know. I mean, I know the software should simplify our life, but really, that tool was put together in few days, so it's not anywhere near being robust. But feature request, we will take it in consideration, and we will try to do our best. And really, it's a public repo, so feel free to raise issue also there. Because I guess they would be taken. I mean, I will leave it there, and the Gnosis team could act on it, basically. Yeah.
Do you have or do you plan to have support for the Nimbus consensus layer client?
So yes, we will for sure, because we would like to be on pair with Ethereum on that sense. So yes, I can say already yes. Okay, zero impression. Okay, I'm taking notes, guys, at the moment, because are very great feedbacks. Okay, so yeah. Also, guys, if for anyone of you that runs on AWS their nodes, it could be good to. I mean, we could even share the EBS snapshot that it will be like instantaneous. You could have a node running in a few minutes, really. So if that is an option for you, we can take it in consideration and share with you an EBS snapshot to your AWS account. So yeah.
That's awesome, Ricky. How can people reach out for that? Like, is there would you make the EBS snapshot broadly available and people just need the EBS snapshot identifier, or would you share it with
Let's
specific
see.
accounts?
I mean, let's see, because we could actually sync on this with the graph team, and based on your feedback, we can find the best solution that you think is suitable. So yeah.
Okay, and if somebody wanted to, bootstrap an AWS archive node today, would they just reach out to you?
Yes, yes, yes. You can reach out to me, but I will need to speak with other team, and yeah. So I do not think that today will be possible. Maybe tomorrow we can have something set up. So yeah. But anyway, as soon as possible, because we want you guys to run your nodes as soon as possible. Okay, I can see Giacomo is also answering to the questions. Nice.
What is the refresh rate of the snapshot? Is it like you made once a snapshot and that's where we keep going for the next several months, or is it like a daily or weekly fresh one?
So we didn't actually talk about this, but also really, guys, your feedback will be gold in this case. So based on your needs, we can decide like a time frame with which we are gonna upload the new snapshots. So yeah. Let's see. Snapshot was that made. I think yeah, it was made in August. It's quite recent. So you really by using that snapshot, you should be able to be up to speed in really. I mean, yeah, really quickly. Okay. Hey guys, thanks a lot for all your feedback because you are helping us a lot at Torrent. Also, we tried it actually, and yeah, we. So I would advise 5 terabyte at least at the moment with the downloader a medium 5 terabyte. But Giacomo can I mean give his opinion also on this.
Yeah, so if you sing from scratch, then let's say the current size of the database of Nethermind is around 1.9 terabytes. So at least if you sing from scratch, I would say 3 terabytes. Yeah, no less than 2 terabytes. But yeah, if you download the copy of the database from through the downloader app, then yeah, the double of the size. So yeah, around 5 terabytes. And also, yeah, having a more distributed version of the database would be great. So if anyone from the community should start a torrent, also please reach out and let's see how we can also contribute. And also, I know that there are plans to for the Nethermind team to support to introduce support for snapshot sync, which actually is only supported by GEF clients on mainnet. So hopefully in the next future, the Nethermind client will support snapshot sync as well. So it will lower the amount of time needed to get up to speed on the network. Yeah, a snapshot sync is basically, Chris, is basically instead of syncing from scratch, you basically download the copy of the database from a peer. So you don't have to go through the downloader app in that case, since you will be downloading the copy of the database. That would be automatically handled by the Nethermind client, or well, better say the client, the specific client, in this case GEF, which is the only one supporting it at the moment. So the process is quite straightforward, since you don't have to do anything. Just set the node to operate on snap sync mode, and once you download the latest snapshot, let's say this depends obviously on how often the other nodes take snapshots on their end. So once you have downloaded it, then you will start syncing on top of that the snapshot. So yeah, the overall time to get to the latest block, it's as you can understand, is really little. It depends on how it is configured, because if it really depends on the configuration, because if these snapshots probably the GEF team and the Nethermind team will also provide more information. a good point to bring up to the Graph team. Are there any other questions related to how to run nodes on Gnosis chain? Otherwise, if there are more questions, Abel, please could you collect them and also provide them with to us? We will be happy to answer them. And also, we also got a lot of feedback and many hints and points for improvement that would make our lives easier many times, many occasions. So such as, let's say, the snapshot sync, having a snapshot sync for archive nodes probably would be also interesting. Let's see how teams can implement that. But let's start with telling them that there could be also a good feature to include in their nodes.
Yes, we'll definitely message over any questions that aren't fully answered here, so that you guys can come back to them. I see that Stake Machine is typing. Chris is typing. If any, as we mentioned, this is kind of the last call for questions. So if you guys have any questions, either in the chat or voice, feel free to ask away. I feel that voice is quicker, so if anyone wants to unmute, feel free to.
Cool.
I have a quick question. So we're seeing that Aragon and Aragon derivatives like Akula are emerging as kind of the next generation of EVM execution nodes. And it looks like, certainly a lot of the ecosystem is recognizing that a lot of the improvements that Aragon brings to the table are like pretty important for these chains to continue to scale, like particularly with things like state bloat. And I'm wondering like how the Gnosis team is thinking about that, and whether there's an intention to bring Aragon support to Gnosis chain.
Yeah, sure. Actually, there was an announcement today from the Aragon team around the topic. Indeed, the Aragon team is working hard on getting up to speed and release Aragon really soon on Gnosis chain. And that version will also support the merge on Gnosis chain. So they are really, the Aragon team is really committed to releasing softwares that will be embracing also Gnosis chain. And Gnosis chain on the other side is also committed to help everyone, Nethermind, Aragon, and other teams, clients, and developers on onboarding them on the chain and helping them building and propose any kind of solutions that would be beneficial for everyone and for the whole ecosystem. So to answer your question, yes, we are supporting Erigon, such as we are supporting other teams and clients on building on top of Gnosis chain. Does that answer your question, Chris?
It does. Thank you so much, and super excited to see Ericon's support coming for Gnosis too.
Yeah, and thank you for pointing out the snap sync for archive nodes. Actually, the last time I used I set a full node to sync or snap sync. It was an Open Ethereum one, and then after that I didn't I didn't go through the latest updates. But hopefully this this snap sync for archive nodes could be probably also the community could also potentially help on that end, with proposing features and so on. So let's see first if they come with something from for the Gnosis chain. Let's see if it's just a full node snapshot sync, and if that works first, and then let's try to get it to the next stage and also enable snap sync for archive nodes. Unfortunately, Open Ethereum is actually a few providers, I believe, are still running Open Ethereum nodes. Not on Ethereum chain, of course, but on other ones. But it's deprecated. So if you have any Open Ethereum nodes running somewhere on your machines, take into account to migrate to another client.
I guess another question that's maybe a little bit less related, but I think is maybe somewhat relevant for node runners. So I understand that Gnosis chain today, is obviously just an execution, it's a monolithic chain today, and like the merge will move it into the kind of Gnosis beacon chain, and then the execution client will be separate. And I know that today, obviously, you guys don't use proof of work. You have a custom consensus mechanism. And I'm wondering about, it sounds like that custom consensus mechanism will basically be deprecated when the merge happens. And the Gnosis beacon chain will then be the consensus mechanism for Gnosis chain. I'm conscious that if I remember correctly, the Gnosis beacon chain has block times that are half that of the Ethereum beacon chain. Is that right? And does that mean we can expect state growth to be roughly twice what we see on main? I guess it depends on utilization as well, but can you talk a bit about that and maybe the pre and post Gnosis merge block times?
Yeah, sure. That's a really good question, Chris. So as of now, the current consensus algorithm for Gnosis chain is Aura. This algorithm doesn't run on doesn't rely on proof of work proofs, but instead there's a set of validators that basically are enabled to validate transactions for the chain, so a kind of proof of stake with some minor changes. The way Gnosis chain will work after the merge is basically the consensus layer, where basically the beacon chain, the Gnosis beacon chain, will take over the consensus part and validate transactions and send them to the execution layer for final execution. So the idea is to, and indeed, the validators that today are currently validating transactions on Gnosis chain will become worthless once we merge the Gnosis chain with the Beacon chain, since the consensus layer will take over the consensus for the chain. So Gnosis will be migrating toward definitely toward proof of stake, a fully proof of stake chain after the merge. And also there are plans. Actually, there are some discussions around how and when we should get rid of the Aura consensus, in which way. So there are some ongoing tests held by the community and by Nethermind, by Gnosis and other parties. That's why we are confident we can make the merge really soon, but still we must be cautious because we must be 100% sure that after the merge happens, everything will be working fine. So to answer your question and to recap, we will migrate from Aura into let's say a proof of stake consensus algorithm, and on Gnosis chain, Beacon chain, sorry, yes, the amount of so basically the epochs, slots to be specific, are half of the time if you compare with Ethereum ones. So it means that ideally the chain should be 2 times faster. So that's the current setup, and so as you know, it's all being tested. The Beacon chain actually is already available. Anyone can join it and run validators. So that you can join the network at any moment you want. On the docs, there's a guideline explaining how to deposit GNOs on Gnosis chain and enable your validators if you want to stake and start validating transactions on the Beacon chain. But for the moment, probably this is out of scope for this call. If you have if you have more questions, you can reach out to Abel, which will then forward all your questions to us. Beacon APY. Actually, I don't know. It's around 13-15%, I guess. Something like that. It used to be higher in the past, I remember. Would you recommend
Amazing.
an extra boot static peer configuration for Gnosis chain execution nodes? You mean like setting up boot nodes? What do you mean, Chris?
I'm sure that like the XDAI configuration that Nethermind ships with specifies built-in boot nodes and so on. But I'm just wondering, like, with your experience operating these nodes, do you do you pass any like static peer configuration? Like if you run maybe 5 nodes, do you specify each of the nodes as peer nodes for each other, or do you kind of just let the node figure it all out?
Yeah, okay. This depends on how fast you wanna your node to bring up and start thinking. As far as yeah, based on my experience, it shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes to start thinking. But yeah, even so, I saw let's say multiple times nodes unable to start thinking because no peers were available. So probably it's just because the algorithm it's distributed. The routing algorithm requires some time to reach out to peers. In that case, yeah, if you by chance have more nodes running, or at least you know someone who runs nodes, you can ask them to provide you with the enode, well the yes, the enode, and then you can add that to your configuration. At least for sure you know that one peer will be available when you start your node. So yeah, for most of the configurations I seen, no static IP list was needed. But yeah, in a few cases when nodes were not bringing up, we had to set up static IPs. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Right. Because sometimes if you run, let's say, 2-3 nodes, then you already know your e-nodes, and you can set them on the other nodes you are running, and they all will bring up faster. Okay, I missed the stake machine question about the faucet for Beacon Chain. Actually, there's no faucet, since basically, I mean, the faucet will be someone who sends you some GNOS tokens. Actually not. No, there's no faucet for the Beacon Chain. Sorry. The node I'm running at home is struggling for a peer. Yeah, also, yeah, there can be many reasons. If after you restart the node, if you are still experiencing peering issues, probably will make sense to specify the static IP, enode address, and restart the node again and see whether it can start syncing. I know, at least on Open Ethereum, you could specify the amount of peers, the minimum amount of peers you wanted to maintain, making obviously the node to consume more RAM resource, since he had to do more discovery on the network. Not sure about Nethermind whether it supports that feature, but in case they do, I will say you can also increase the amount of peers you wanna be connected to. Yeah. generally speaking, it should not be a problem to find out peers. It's just a matter of time, between the moment you start the node and when the node finds some available peers. But yeah, if you are aware of other indexer providers, you can yourself exchange your e-nodes addresses and put them and configure them on your node.
All right. Well, as I mentioned in the chat, we're at the top of the hour, so we'll just wrap up with final questions, comments. Anyone, feel free to unmute your mic or type in the chat, and then yeah, after that we'll wrap up today's conversation. That's really nice to hear, Derek. That you're very excited for indexing Gnosis data, and nice meme there, Chris. Great. Well, I'll take this opportunity to wrap up today's conversation. Just want to say a big thank you to Giacomo and Ricky for joining us for today's conversation, answering everyone's questions, and thank you all for attending and also asking your questions as well. So as we normally do, we're going to have a workshop again next week, Tuesday and Thursday. So be sure to lock into the calendar so that you can stay up to date with everything. Thank you all for attending, and we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you so much.
Talk soon.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everyone.